Hello, hello. Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to the live for today. Myself, and there's some voice clips of me as well when I was impaired. I just wanted to talk today about, how do we make a change stick? Because, after watching a lot of the 5-day challenge, you might be thinking, yes, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to start getting into action, start removing some of the inflammatory foods, start, doing some of the brain rewiring that I talk about. And, but sometimes we get some momentum going in the beginning, but it's hard to kind of, with the follow through, keep it going. And so I wanted to kind of like unpack the anatomy of making a change that sticks. Because there's several things that go into it. It's not just willpower. It's not just having the mental strength. Somehow we like to blame ourselves when we fail to be able to stick with something. We often will just perceive ourselves as failures or as weak or as people that are just incapable of making those changes. And all of that stuff is not true. So we just haven't gone about it and gotten to the root of how we make the change in a way that can last. That's why most people's New Year's resolutions don't really stick with them very long, because they haven't made a change to who they are at the core. So first we have to kind of get curious, like, why do we want to make this change? So finding your why is the first step to this, because we need to know how important that is for you to make the change. So let's, just assume that you're on your journey to try and heal your voice. I shouldn't say try, I should say start to heal your voice. What you're going to be doing is some new behaviors. You're going to be doing some things that you have not been doing. Let's face it, we know what the outcome of your current thoughts, emotions, habits, actions, all of it. We know what the current outcome is, and that is not what we're going for. We're going for someone who is not struggling with their voice. We're learning to be other than we are. We're learning to be someone who has a more regulated nervous system, because when you have spasmodic dysphonia, already your whole nervous system is off kilter. You're in fight or flight, and you're prone to anxiety and all sorts of other, anguish that comes along with the condition. So we're going to become people that are no longer afflicted by that. And so we have to do a couple of things. So in discovering our why do we want to make these changes? Well, let's see. Say if you're going to be looking at your diet, you're going to be starting to remove some of these troublemaker foods. Okay, I need to remove these foods because I need to remove the food sources for the pathogens that are in my body. So in doing that, you have a really clear reason why you need to do it. And then we have to go down that food chain a little bit farther into why do we want to remove the pathogens out of our bodies? It's because we want to regain and reclaim our voices. We want to reclaim our voice, and in order to do that, we have to eliminate the obstructions that are preventing it from coming through clearly always. So why do we want to do that? Why do we need our voice? So I think you'll agree that your voice is integral to who you are and expressing yourself in the world. So that's a pretty big why. I know it was for me. I was willing to do anything to get it back. Part of my identity was wrapped up in my voice, because I made a living using my voice always, as a singer, a professional entertainer for years and years. So getting my voice back was a huge why. And I tell you what, that gave me momentum to withstand any of the temptations. You could have asked me to walk on hot coals and I would have done it if I thought that was going to get me further towards getting my voice back. So when you have a why that's that important to you, when it's foundational to who you are, it's foundational to how you live your life in every aspect, then you have a nice big why, which is really a great place to jump off from. It's just remembering that, keeping that top of mind. And let's layer on a couple of basic truths that I always come back to these. And so you've heard me say them probably before, but I will continue to say them over and over again because I think we need to be constantly reminded. You are a perfect, beautiful child of God. You do not have to do anything to earn love. You are worthy of love just as you are. You don't have to prove it. There's nothing you have to do. So inherently, you are worthy of any healing that comes your way. You are worthy to want to pursue your dreams, your desires. You are worthy to want to make a contribution to the world. That's what we all want to do. We all just want to contribute on some level. And so this is your why. You are reclaiming your voice in order to fully actualize who you are meant to be in the world and to be able to spread your gifts, spread your love. I know it can be very inhibiting when you can't communicate verbally in an effective way. It inhibits all of your expressions of all of the good stuff that you want to share, your information that you know. I mean, I know we all sit quietly on the sidelines. When we have this condition, we have to pick and choose our words wisely because we don't want to have to repeat them and go down this mental spiral of, feeling incompetent. So we just choose to say nothing instead. It's very common. And so we want to get back to our full expression of ourselves. You're created for a reason. You're here for a reason. You're important. The world needs to hear what you have to say. You have an important influence over those people in your lives. You have important things to say to them. So just remembering that that's why we are calling back your voice and calling back those parts of you that have gone away because of being sick and the PTSD of it all and the trauma that we've all experienced. So knowing your why is extremely important. Next, we have to kind of reverse engineer what kind of person is the kind of person that could potentially make a huge change in their lives. What would that person, what kind of attributes would that person have? They would have consistency. They would have unwavering faith and belief that they could. They would have focus. They would be very persistent. They would be excited because of the change that's coming their way. When you have certainty that this is going to be the outcome for you, when you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are a beautiful child of God, worthy of love no matter what, your body knows how to heal itself and will always strive to do that. And thirdly, God and the universe have your back and are always conspiring for you. And being here today is proof of that. The fact that you're here listening to this is proof to me that you are exactly where you need to be to begin this process. So those are super important. So we have to look at our identities that we have. We have many of them. Have to start adjusting them and trying on, even if you're just going to borrow some confidence from me or borrow my faith, that's okay. To get started, sometimes we have to borrow it from other people. After all, we're all empaths, right? We're taking on energy from other people all the time. Most of the time, it's negative energies that are kind of agitating our nervous systems and making us ride the roller coaster of emotions downward. But there's something positive about interacting with people who are actually embodying the things that we want to embody. We can borrow and start co-regulating with them. We can borrow some of those attributes and try them on for ourselves until they become more natural, and then we can, fly on our own with those attributes. So I borrow that from people all the time, people that I look up to that have mentored me. And so hopefully I can be that mentor for you and help you try on new versions of yourself. Do you believe at the core that it is possible to heal? I know we've been brainwashed to think that we have to get stuck with this condition for the rest of our lives. But I am the enigma telling you that it's not true. And so are you willing to really, at a core level, entertain that possibility for yourself? Because if you start to see yourself as I do, I know you're capable of healing. So I already see your happy ending. So I have no doubt in my mind this is possible for you. So you have to start seeing yourself as the healing warrior that I know is inside there somewhere. I've had to find it for myself in order to get to the point where I could withstand the winds that blow, anything that came my way. I was solid as a rock because I became the healing warrior, and the healing warrior does not stop. The healing warrior continues on even when it's hard. So these are the things that I want you to start getting your head around, becoming more like these things, these identities that are serving you, the ones that love yourself, that identity that it's not selfish to give yourself self-care and self-love and put yourself on the top of the priority list. I know we're taught that we have to defer to others and that we are good people if we, put others ahead of ourselves, etc., etc. But in this case, when we're trying to heal ourselves in order to, then you think of how much more you can help other people when you're healed. So it's endless possibilities. So it is a very high calling to take on this work and these new ways of being, because ultimately it is going to allow you to be the person you're intended to be and make the biggest contribution to the world and live the abundant, joyous life that you're supposed to be living. So we have to, try on those new identities, because after all, so, let's just give you an example. So say you've been a smoker for 20 years and you've been, smoking, and then you try and stop. One of the reasons that stopping smoking is so hard is because you've been doing it for so long that you start to see yourself as someone who always does that. And so when you start to try and taper it off and quit, there's a lot of resistance inside, because your identity, your core identity, is someone who's a smoker. And so if you're a smoker, then giving up smoking is super hard. If you can get to the point where you are not a smoker, I'm a non-smoker, you don't go into a situation where there's temptation and say, I'm not a smoker, but maybe just this once I'll become a smoker. No. So you don't even think twice about it. There's no inner friction. There's no inner resistance to not smoking when at your core, I am a non-smoker. So I hope that you see how that kind of plays out with your identity portion. If you're looking at your former identity as someone who can't stick with a diet or can't stick with any sort of new challenge of a health pursuit, then that's not going to carry you very far in your new version of yourself that you are becoming, that can stick to things. I couldn't stick to things for years and years until I had a big enough why and I had a change in who I saw myself to be. Those are the keys to making the changes stick, because I could tell you a long list of things you could do. Tomorrow, I'll say, okay, we're going to, take away the gluten, and we're going to add 96 ounces of water with lemon in it, and we're going to begin drinking celery juice, and etc., etc. And you'll say, okay, that sounds good. And then you'll do it for a day or two. And then you're going to be like, why am I doing this? I don't remember why I'm doing it. I'm not like sure. And then you're also in that situation where you're like, well, remember all those other times I quit? So I'm probably not going to do this anyway. So I might as well just give up now. So I'm just trying to help you guys circumvent the natural progression that happens in our brains to everyone until you've figured out this piece. So that's okay. It's a work in progress. Look, I'm still working on it for myself because, my old identities still want to creep up in different areas. They creep up, I have the protocol thing down for my healing. Okay, I got all that. But I have other areas of my life where I still get the doubts and the resistance come up. And every time I do have those resistances come up, I recognize that I need to work on who do I think I am or in this moment? What's going on here? And so I'm still having to work on that stuff for myself, and it's a constant process. And as you start setting the bar higher and higher for yourself, then you have more and more of these things to take a look at because we're getting your whole life kind of revamped across the board with every improvement, every upgrade that you do. You're going to start upgrading everything about your life, it's kind of cool. Another thing I wanted to talk about is your self-talk. That is the aftermath of these identities and these beliefs that you have about yourself then generate the self-talk. But one little workaround, one little trick sometimes that I just wanted to share with you that's kind of cool. So if you talk to yourself in the second person, and so in other words, instead of saying, I am going to do X, Y, or Z, I'm going to make my celery juice today, you say, you are going to do your celery juice today. It's almost as if someone else is talking to you, and you are amazing, and you go and get it, as almost like your little own cheerleader. Mel Robbins has a whole book called The High Five Habit, and she talks about giving yourself a high five in the mirror in the morning, like being your own cheerleader. Also, talking to yourself in the second person accesses a different part of your brain. So it helps you access your prefrontal cortex, which again helps your good decision making, your creativity, your memory, all of those good things, those parts of our brain that we want to be in. That's the good part. The amygdala is that part of the brain that we're stuck in when we're in fight or flight, which most of us are. When we have spasmodic dysphonia, we are frozen, so to speak, in fight or flight. And so, just doing a little workaround, like talking to yourself and giving yourself that reinforcement. It's almost like, an incantation, or you're almost like rewiring your brain that way because you're talking to yourself in a different way. Another thing that's going to help you make these changes stick is to start visualizing. You visualize yourself once you're healed. What are you doing? Are you talking on the phone? Are you just laughing and having the best time because you're not worried? And where are you? Where are you sitting? Are you in your favorite chair at home? Are you taking a walk and talking to, I don't know, your sister or your friend or whoever as you're walking down the street? Are you just like having a carefree walkabout? What are you doing? What are you wearing? How are you feeling? Are you just so overjoyed and having the best day, just feeling the joy and the love of the world and the fact that it all worked out? What if it all works out? What if everything I'm saying to you right now is true? And what if after we get off of this call today, you go to drastic action and start taking these matters into your own hands and you start turning your life around? That is a possibility. That is one of the fork in the road outcomes. We are at a fork in the road right this second as we are on this call together. And you guys have a choice. You can get off of the call and be like, well, that was fun. good stuff to hear. Or you can get off of this call and say, you know what? I am going to start making these changes. It's up to you. Every moment of the day, we have choices, and it's never too late. And the past outcomes do not dictate the future. We have to always remember these things. And hopefully I didn't repeat myself. I feel like we learn through repetition. At least I do. I need to hear things a bunch of times before it becomes part of my vernacular, before I start using the language and thinking the thoughts, and it's almost embodied in me. So I'm hoping that getting some of these points across in a sort of a repetitive fashion is helpful for you guys so that you can truly absorb it and start, taking action with that. So, any of the things that I talk about in day 4 about this Reclaiming Your Voice course that I have created. This is an amazing opportunity for you to learn all of the things that I use to heal my voice. If you want to find out more about it on a one-on-one basis, you can scan that QR code and schedule a free 30-minute call with me, and we can talk about all the options. The options are really unlimited because there's, several different ways you can take the course. And in addition, there's just ways to work with me individually, or, we can talk about all of that. Make your journey that much easier having someone to guide you. Anyway, as always, I love you guys, and I hope that you are having an amazing day. And give me a call or schedule a call with me, and hopefully we can connect. I hope that you're actually going to try implementing some of these things. My dream is to have a whole group of people that have healed their voices, and we are out to change the world with that. All right. I love you guys. And remember, 1% change every day gets you eventually to a very different place. All right. I'll see you soon. Bye.